So, hello friends, very good morning to all of you. So friends, welcome back to Anthropology PYQ series. It's me, your Dr. Suresh Guramkunda, Anthropology faculty at SRIRAM IAS. So friends, in today's discussion, as usual, let's take up another important question and let's try to know the approach and let's try to know some of the important points about that particular question also. So I hope all of you are utilizing the opportunity of this one PYQ one day series. So let's proceed with the question of the day. So today we have a question. So today we are on day 49. So on day 49, the question that is there with us is this. So look at the question. Describe the distinctive features and the distribution of Upper Paleolithic of India. So this is the question of the day with us. So this is again from Anthropology paper 2. So where we have in unit 1.1 we have the different aspects. So let's try to discuss about this particular question and let's try to know how better we can approach to the answer. Right friends? So first and foremost we have to just go with the basic, very basic introduction. So where we say that in the process of cultural evolution, so there were different phases. So different phases, say for example, Stone Age. In Stone Age, we have different stages of Stone Age. Say for example, Paleolithic period, Mesolithic period or Neolithic period. So like that, we had different phases and periods. In this, the question is trying to expect us that we should write some of the distinctive features of the Upper Paleolithic period, where the Paleolithic period, that is Old Stone Age, has been systematically divided into three phases. So first one is Lower Paleolithic period, Middle Paleolithic period and Upper Paleolithic period. Now the concept now we have to explain and write about the Upper Paleolithic period's features. So let's try to approach it in a systematic manner. So where first we should systematically let's mention about various aspects, like what about its geological time period and what about the other details. So let's see the features of Upper Paleolithic period. Features of Upper Paleolithic period. So when we look from the Upper Paleolithic period point of view, so can you able to recollect? So what is the geological period of it? So roughly it is present or it was existing in which period? So can you able to text in the chat box if you are aware of that? So let's see first. So you should recollect about the geological period. So geological period means mostly this was belonging to a kind of Pleistocene period. So Pleistocene period. So in Pleistocene period, roughly it was spanning of around 40,000 years to 10,000 years back, million years, 10,000 years ago, this was that. So this was the period. And then if you look from the other important aspect of the Upper Paleolithic period, so who were the primate species they have been evolved? So in the human line. So that was another important aspect. Primate species evolved. So actually it was modern man. So we can say Homo sapiens, sapiens. Homo sapiens and sapiens, that is modern man has been evolved in the Upper Paleolithic period, so in a systematic fashion. Now what is this period is all about? So this period, that means Upper Paleolithic period, was a kind of, it was a systematic transitional phase between Paleolithic period as well as the Mesolithic period, the Middle Stone Age. So this was another thing. So whatever the cultural features that we had in the Middle Paleolithic period were progressed in the Upper Paleolithic period. So that's where we should see what are the basic cultural features or cultural aspects that were there. So first, let's try to see what were there, what about their basic mode of residence, or we can say shelter, mode of shelters. So their shelters were basically, they used to have or live in either cave shelters or rock shelters, we will call, and in other ways, like somewhere they also used to have in open air shelters, open air sites. So this was the place where they were living. And if you look at some other important features, usually, like we can have some of the basic evidences of the usage of the fire. So very moderate use of the fire. So that was there. So usage of fire for cooking and eating. So this was also evolved, but it was not more prevalent, but it was introduced. But if you say in a Neolithic period, so it was very rampant and it was very prevalent. So some evidences, like even in some of the places, like say for example in Kurnool caves, so we can see such kind of evidences, so where the fire has been used. So that's another important thing. And then furthermore, if you see like after these things, so we can have other important things, like what about the mode of subsistence? So mode of subsistence, basically it was, say, hunting, nomadic, hunting and gathering. This was the mode of subsistence, where they used to mostly engage in some things like say big game hunting or gathering of the fruits and vegetables from the forests. So this was their mode of subsistence. So particularly we can mention about the big game hunting. So hunting of the big animals, so big wild animals. So that was one important aspect, right? So they used to have shelters, and particularly to say the rock shelters or the cave shelters. And not only this, like they had some of the evidences of the use of the fire. So that was one feature. And their economy or mode of subsistence was mostly predominantly hunting and gathering types. So this was one thing that you should know. Is that clear? Then furthermore, if you see about, or if you talk about other important things, so what was the basic tool technology that they had? So this is another important aspect. So if you see from the perspective of tool technology, so basic tool technology means particularly to say this was in lithic stage, we are in lithic stage. So they used to have tools made up of stones, but what kind of tools that are, so that is very important for us. So particularly if you see, so there was a kind of thing to say proliferation of something that like blades and flakes. So that was there. So this was one thing. So proliferation of blades and flakes, or we can say blades and burins. This is one important thing that we should have it. So blades and burins type of technology. That means earlier there was like some presence of some sort of things like scrapers and flakes and all those things in the middle Paleolithic period. So when we just move on to this particular Upper Paleolithic period, so there was a systematic proliferation of the blades as well as burins. So this was one important aspect. And not only this, like as these scrapers and flakes were being used in the Middle Paleolithic period, so here also it has been continued. So that we can say that continuation of flakes and scrapers. So this was also there here particularly. Then if you see from other important things, like what was the material that has been used? So the material that has been systematically used was, say, for example, like we have quartzite. So white quartzite was used, churst has been used, jasper has been used. So all those materials has been used. So material that was used was, say, quartz, particularly white quartz, jasper, churst. So like that there were so many materials. So you should mention what are those materials and all those things. And not only this. So in this particular phase there was systematic development or emergence of certain bone tools. So tools which are made up of bones. So that was one important aspects. So we can say that osteological tools. That means tools made up of bones. So the evidences have been seen again from various places. So again we can have the evidence of, like, say, Mucchatla Chintamanu Gavi. So it's a place in the Kurnool. So Mucchatla Chintamanu Gavi. So this is a place where we can see this kind of the osteological tools also. That means emergence of the bone tools. So that we have observed and that we have saw. So this is some things that you should mention. And if you see from other important aspects of their culture, so what about their nature of the artistic arts and artistic expression? So we can have, like, say, with respect to arts and paintings. With respect to arts and paintings, so one important thing is that, so they used to have this rock paintings. Rock paintings, so this was one important aspect. And they also used to have a kind of engravings on the ostrich eggshells. So this was another important thing. So engravings, they used to have engravings. So their this artistic work was another important thing. So where this arts has reflected some of the important aspects, like, say, for example, the rituals, the culture. So everything has been depicted. So this is one important aspect. So there you can just remember like this. So these are nothing but some of the important and distinctive features. So you should talk about the period, you should talk about the contemporary primates, you should talk about the tool technology, and you should talk about the culture, and you should talk about their basic aspects. So this is how you can just put in the first part of your introduction. So first part of your body. Then later on, if you talk about the next portion, so what about the basic distribution of it? So that is one important aspect. So when we talk from the perspective of the distribution, so systematically, so we can have this Upper Paleolithic period has been distributed throughout the various places. So where you can have, say, for example, it's been distributed, or distribution of Upper Paleolithic sites. So this was one important thing that you should remember. So there, what you can just say means, like, systematically you can just have it and you can just learn it. So if you see in India, so particularly, so at various places, we can see in northern plains, that is Gangetic plains and the Vindhya region. northern Vindhya region. So particularly to say in our the Gangetic plain region as well as about to this Vindhya region. So this was one area where we can have it. Then furthermore, so in the central India also we had some sites, and in the say for example western India we had, so then eastern part of India we had, and not only this, then we had central part of India, so it was distributed towards the central India, and it was also distributed in southern India, and it was also seen in the northeastern part. So this was some things that you should remember. But it's not only that you should say, and you have to just somewhere and you should mark, or you should show what areas where we can see these things. So particularly when we say in the northern plains or Vindhya region, so in northern plains means we can say the Gangetic plains, so the Ganga plains. So particularly this is extended with respect to particularly in the UP region. So this you can remember. So in the UP region and in the MP region. So particularly you can also add this thing also. So in UP as well as in MP. So some part of the MP. So where you can see some of these things. So let's go to that and mark those areas. So then if you see some of the things like, so we can have in the Ganga plains, so Belen Valley in UP. This is one area. So there you can have this Son Valley in Madhya Pradesh. So this was one thing. Then you can have Son Valley. So this was another area. So then you can have in Madhya Pradesh, when we go to central Indian part, so we can have the places like say Bhimbetka. Bhimbetka caves, so this was one area. And even in Madhya Pradesh we have other sites like say for example Adamgarh, so this was one thing. And not only this, like if you see from the Deccan Plateau region, so in the Deccan area, so particularly we have some of the places like where we can see in the Deccan, so Kurnool. So this was one thing. Then you can have Renigunta in Andhra Pradesh. Then furthermore you can have some other places, say for example, so things like in our Tamil Nadu region, you can have the Attirampakkam, so this is one region, so you can have. So these were some places where you can have it. So then in the western part of India, if you say, so Didwana, Vasadi, so all these places. So in Rajasthan region, so where we can have, so Didwana. Then you can see Basadi or Vasadi. So this was one another region, so where you can see this. So then apart from this, if you see in the eastern part of India, so in eastern part, so we can see it extending from Odisha, Bihar as well as in Bengal. In Odisha, we can have the places like Panchpir, or like in Bihar and Jharkhand, we can see the places like Chota Nagpur Plateau. So this entire area. So I am mentioning this Chota Nagpur Plateau. So this was one influential area where you can have that. So in West Bengal, you can have the place like the Katara. So this Katara also you can see that Paleolithic, the upper Paleolithic site. So then, so Attirampakkam, so we have done that with that, and in the eastern part, like we have these areas. So in western part, these things. So say in central part, Bhimbetka caves and all those things. So these are some of the important areas, or these are some of the important things that you should remember. Right? So then in Maharashtra, you can see some of the places like Nevasa. So Nevasa was one place and Patna was one place. So you can have it. So you can have in Maharashtra, so Nevasa. So Patna, so like that. So there were some places. And furthermore, if you see in Karnataka, Shorapur Doab. So this is another important thing that you can have. So Shorapur Doab. So this is in Karnataka. So like this, so if you see or if we talk from the perspective of the Upper Paleolithic distribution, so it is distributed, so like this. So this is where you should remember and you have to catch it. Is that clear? So I hope you can catch it and you can just remember some of the important aspects like this. So this is the distribution that you should talk about. So western part, so particularly northwestern part is extending in the Rajasthan region. So you can remember like that. So in the eastern part, you can see Odisha, Jharkhand and Bengal. This region you can see. So particularly in central India means Madhya Pradesh, MP, you can have it. In southern India means you can mention about the aspects like, say, for example, so Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, so etc. So this was one thing. So particularly we don't have any exclusive sites in northeast, but it is like Bengal when it is extending to Chota Nagpur plate. So in this area we can stay like this. Okay. And other important thing that we can mention is like in southern India means you can also call it as Deccan Plateau. Deccan Plateau, so where you can also incorporate Maharashtra. So this is how there are some of the important sites that have been distributed here. Is that clear? So this is one important thing that you should mention. So this is where, so you can say that the distribution is largely, it was there in the banks of river valley as well as the rock shelter zone. So wherever rock shelters were there and wherever the river valleys were there. So these things that you should also mention and remember. So where you should say that, so distributed in rock shelter region and river valley areas. So this was one important thing that you should remember. So this is how the Upper Paleolithic period has been systematically, it was distributed in the throughout the India region. So this is where you can say that it's a pivotal, it's a vital cultural transition from the Middle Paleolithic to Mesolithic period. And there we can see some of the systematic developments that were occurred in the Upper Paleolithic period, so ranging from all these things. So this is how you can say and you can just conclude the answer. Right friends, so that's all about the approach that you can proceed. So this is how you can write answers and where you can incorporate some of the scholarly views also. So who has worked at what particular place and what were their findings. So that we can study in detail, in depth in the classrooms. So that's where I wanted to share with you. So this is the basic info that you must and should know. So hope this initiative is helping you. So keep writing the answers and keep following the channel regularly. If you like the videos, just like, and if you'd like to just share it, you can share with your friends also. So thank you all for joining me with this session. So it's me, your Dr. Suresh Guramkuna, signing off, and we'll meet again tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Thank you all.